Hey folks, it's Nick Granville. So that was a little bit of another brick in the wall. I'm a guitar player from Wellington, New Zealand. I post every day on YouTube, so if you haven't subscribed already, please do. It really helps my channel and helps me to keep doing this. It's kind of the encouragement I need to keep doing this, so subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. And the other thing you can do is share this video with anybody you think who might be interested in this sort of stuff and kind of what I'm covering. Let's give that a little more juice. How does that sound? Is that better? It needs a little more, I reckon. How's that? There we go. That's better. Okay, so I thought today what I talk about is gear, because a lot of times like people are so focused on gear and yet not so focused on playing. And that's one of the reasons I did that intro, Another Brick in the Wall, was because it's just a beautiful example of phrasing and misconceptions around gear as well. Like a lot of time people think, oh, if I only had this guitar, then I could play this way. Or if I only had this pedal, or I only had this thing. And that's easy because it's an easy thing to focus on, right? Because you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The guitar is right there. You spend the money, you get it. But instead, like what I'd say is gear doesn't matter as much as most people think. Right? You want proof of that? Go and ask the singer what brand guitar you use. Right? Now, not a singer that plays guitar, of course, but just the singer in the band. Go and ask them and say, hey, like, what guitar do I use? What brand? They'll probably be like, that one, or any other musician, maybe talk to the keyboard player or the drummer or whoever, and maybe they'll know, but probably they won't, and probably they don't really care. Right? We think they do. We think they're going to go, oh, you have to have this certain thing or that certain thing. But actually, they don't really care. A little more juice. They really don't. It's like, how do you play the thing is what really matters, right? And yet we're so focused on gear. Now, I'm not saying don't get good gear. You do need to get good gear. I mean, if your equipment's not working, if it's not holding in tune, if it's difficult to play, and that's not what you're looking for, then, it's kind of one of those things that it's always going to be an issue. So those are things that you can fix, right? I remember a buddy of mine telling me once that it's 80% in your hands and 20% in the gear. And he was like, just go and spend some money and get the good gear. And I've always remembered that because that's the easy 20% to get, right? But once you've got that, then you've got to spend time working on the other 80%, right? And that brick in the wall solo is a really good case in point with that. I think I first learnt that when I was about 15 years old, and I'm 45 now, and I've been playing it all those years since, and I still find new things out of it every time. Like there I was. Could be. As opposed to. They both have a different kind of effect on the music, right? It's really a masterclass in bending and phrasing. It's a great solo. I mean, I really love David Gilmour's playing. I think he's fantastic. One of the all-time greats of guitar. So, so what I would say is put your focus on getting the equipment you need, and then when you've got it, get on with playing and focus on the 80% of your time on the playing and the 20% of your time on the gear, and that's a better ratio. I find a lot of times people that their ratio is completely the other way. They're more like 80% on gear and 20% on the actual playing, right? If you were to give, say, Justin Derrico, the great guitar player with Pink and the voice and what have you, if you were to give him this guitar, he's still going to sound like him. He's not going to sound like me. Case in point of that was listening to Dave Kilminster last night. If you don't know Dave Kilminster, he's a great British guitar player who plays with Roger Waters. So he gets to play the Pink Floyd stuff every night with, the real deal. And he was playing a 3 single coil Paoletti. Did he sound like David Gilmour? Not really. And he said that's not really even been his goal. He hasn't kind of looked at what pedals he uses and try to recreate the exact chain. He just went, well, that kind of sounds like that. And the key thing he was looking for is how does he find a sound that's inspiring? And that's the key thing with equipment. If your equipment's not inspiring, change it. But then you've got to get on with playing it, right? And that's kind of been my focus, is like, how do I play this thing well? It's one reason I've kind of settled on this one guitar, because I have a lot of instruments. Anyone who knows me know I have a bunch of different guitars, and I do a lot of session work, so I use these tools, right? But I've found since I've been playing one guitar, which has been for at least probably 3, 4, maybe even 6 months now since I've had this guitar, just playing the one guitar for the most part. I still play my other ones when I do recordings, but having this one guitar is kind of my voice. Okay, now that's out of the equation, right? It's when I play, I pick up this guitar. That's the one I jumped to. So that's kind of made me go, okay, now I need to focus. My focus is only on the playing. I don't even need to think about this anymore. And Steve Jobs talked about that. I remember him saying, you know, the former Apple CEO passed away sadly. He was saying that he wore that black top and jeans because then it became, okay, well, now I don't have to think about what I'm going to wear for the day. The uniform was there, and they just focused on what he was doing. And that's kind of a thing that I think a lot of people could reflect on, because gear really doesn't matter as much as you think it does, right? Something to think about. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. My name's Nick Granville. I really appreciate everybody tuning in, and like I said, share this video with people who dig it. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll be back with more videos tomorrow. And do let me know if there's anything you want me to cover. Yeah.